Let's go, Pomodoro 5. And I think I'm going much slower than I expected to be going. But that's fine. It's not like I want to do at most 8 Pomodoros. But it's not like I really need to finish at some specific point in time, or need to finish the whole Pomodoro, the whole exercise, the whole kata, yeah? Okay. Let's gonna start Pomodoro number 5, as we have said. Okay, so now we have the check for the last frame being spare, yeah? We can do this specific check. We can check if something is the first roll. We can check if something is okay. So again, is this the right place where to do it? The is first roll. Not 100% sure. Okay, so we are doing the check for being a first roll here, yes or no. And we are adding into the score, but that information doesn't appear later on here. And we are gonna need it. We are going to need it for the for this kind of checks. So we can pass the information down into this whole aggregate stuff. I think probably for now it's gonna be the easy solution. So rather than just rather than adding into the scores over here just a pin, the number of pins down, I'm gonna keep 2 pieces of information, if it's the first roll or not, and the actual pins. So we are thinking about the idea of having something that holds those 2 values. Now, the important thing is that this per se doesn't bring in any additional functionality. This is a change, a refactoring on this collection that we have over here. And I can do this refactoring, this information with all my tests still going through. Let's see if this works. We have said that we want to keep two pieces of data, yeah? One is the pins that are down, which we know is an integer, pins down. In fact, let's gonna start slightly smaller than I was going to be doing, and let's gonna replace the int with the roll information that only has the pins down. It's the only thing it has, yeah? So that means that this, roll information. Now I have set up as a record extract. I love immutable data. I love the fact that this role information is on the role information is not a reference type, so it goes into a heap. Sometimes when Java came and say everything is an object, and then everyone else did the same thing, Python did the same thing, and C# did the same thing. That was going too far into the direction that it was not really needed. Suddenly everything is a reference. Everything has methods. No. Why we need to go that way? Thankfully, things have been done to kind of move away from that mentality. Sometimes you need them, sometimes you don't. Sometimes what you need is just a simple a data structure, yeah, to be passed around. The information that is going to be role information is not going to do anything per se, or at least not at the moment. As we have said earlier on, once you have a class or something that gets information, that when you put in the data functionality, that tends to attract all other things, yeah. But maybe that's not exactly what you need to create. And let's gonna change just first to be more consistent, also because consistent with the standard way of doing things on C#. Pins down, and I can get over here, pins down, and I can get over here, pins down, pins down. Why is this one still failing? Oh, now we actually need to add back the initial value, yeah? And the initial value is gonna be 0. And that's because we are transforming from the role information into an int. That's what we really want to do with it. Everything passing. We have done some refactoring. Everything is passing right now. So why I want this information? Because I'm gonna need to use it on the whole aggregate. So we wanted to have not just the pins, but the information about being the first role or not of the frame. I'm trying to think if everything that I'm saying right now is actually gonna work. Now we know that we need to store that information on a score. Oh, sorry, to use that information on a score. I'm trying to think if there is a way of setting out the test, yeah? But I don't think that's the case. Okay, let's go back to the original test that created all these. No, is Nice. That was it. Not that I don't have the same issue every now and then, and then I completely forget how this is supposed to work. Okay, so this one is failing because it's gonna be getting a 13 instead of a 16. Yeah. So if we go over here, we can see 16 instead of 13. Okay. So the logic has to be something like this. 2 times s. We need to be able to say over here, let's gonna go for a second like this. This one is gonna be a return over here. That doesn't change anything. The one that is failing is still failing. But we need to see if we need a bonus roll. So there's gonna be something like that. Okay, actually, that tells me that is something that I can create. Let's gonna comment out this for a second. Let's gonna just leave for now the name. We are gonna have to fix that in shortly. That this last frame spell is probably gonna change. The basic idea is gonna stay in place, but we need to know the previous frame rather than the last frame, which means that we are gonna have to pass the current okay. That's one of the problems that I always find with doing something that is not being used immediately. Then when you are going to use it, you discover that actually that's not the way that you should be doing it. So yeah, its last frame spare was created too quickly. It wasn't yet needed. That's fine. Let's gonna go with its bonus roll. Let's gonna create it. And bonus roll, what we are gonna have over here. There are two conditions for a bonus roll to happen. One is that if this one is the first roll, and secondly is that the last frame is a spare. So a spare creates the previous spare, previous spare rather than the last spare. So two conditions for this bonus roll. I'm just gonna put a first roll, and the second one is that the previous frame is a spare. So we are gonna have those two things over here, yeah? Oops, no, what I'm doing. I'm giving the names because in general, true or false is so helpful. When you look at it, it doesn't give you any kind of information. So giving them a name is useful. You can create an actual enumeration or something like that to hold that information better than just using booleans. Okay, so we have this idea of bonus roll. That should be that should do the right thing. And that's gonna have action codes unit okay, so each bonus roll has been created and it requires two things, two booleans. If it's the first roll or if it's the previous spare. Yeah, if the previous one is a spare, yeah? We could go with the basic steps over here. We are gonna so that will pass the specific test, but we are gonna do slightly better. This one, there are only few options possible. It's just your standard Boolean table. Of an AND, yeah. So now I can change this first roll. That needs to be full. Full is previous frame spam. We can remove this one from here. Of course. Then we have the expected result. So now there are gonna be multiple of them failing right now. Again, this is just your standard AND setup. Do we need to have a method? We could have done it somewhere else, yeah. But what I can do now, is something like this, because now I have that that calculation, yeah. Oh, before I do this, let's gonna remove here a second. All the tests were passing, but of course we need our failing test to deal with what the work that we are doing over here. Now we have the failing test, and now this kind of, we have all the pieces together as we have been thinking about what we are supposed to create, yeah. Now I can say over here, this is bonus roll. We want to, sorry, no, we have the bonus roll itself, which we want to use over here. En estos and spare if that's all that's true, we count it twice, and that's incorrect. Otherwise, we don't want a bonus roll. Yeah, bonus roll is gonna be 0. There you go. So we are missing its first roll and its last frame spare. All that information we already have. So I can come over here. Is it comma? Oh, I think it's comma. Is first roll equals to and then we can do is last frame spare Okay, so the only thing that is missing is that we need to add them over here. Oh, I just realized that did I start my Pomodoro? Sometimes I just go way too far ahead. Yeah, it's actually gonna finish in a second. Awesome. Perfect. So we have everything in place. We save. Why is it not working? It has failed. The Pomodoro is finished, but let's gonna very quickly investigate what's in. Oh. Index is out of range. Get item. That's line 36. What will be failing there? Oh. Is this is threshold, which is getting things confused because at the point in which I am doing the calculation, yeah? Why is not? I have to check this. It's supposed to be formatting. Okay, let's gonna see if that's the trick. Haha, all working. Okay, so we have finished this with having spares up and running, which is awesome. We can add later on if we wanted to additional tests, but we are far closer to our final solution. And if we go a second over here, last time it was 99. Now we are 112. Hey, only 8 points of difference. We are nearly there. I think that's gonna be for now. We'll see you on the next Pomodoro.